Today we're going to talk about procrastination. Something that costs entrepreneurs millions in lost opportunities. And yet it's so normalized that we joke about it. Let's be honest. At one time or another, we all excel in it. Now let's talk about the specific systems and strategies that turn procrastination into producers. Procrastination is about fear. And until you understand what you're really afraid of, will keep you spinning your wheels, making plans you never execute. I used to be the entrepreneur who had a $1 million idea. Let me tell you about a 4-year procrastination story I almost blew up. I used to be the entrepreneur who had a $1 million idea tomorrow. Welcome back to 30 Years of Wisdom. Today we're going to talk about procrastination. You know, that silent one that sabotages more dreams than market crashes, bad partnerships, and economic downturns combined. Something that costs entrepreneurs millions in lost opportunities. And yet it's so normalized that we joke about it. Come a little closer. Let's be honest. At one time or another, we all excel in it. But here's what nobody talks about. Procrastination isn't about being lazy. It's not about lacking motivation. And it's definitely not about poor time management. Procrastination is about fear. And until you understand what you're really afraid of, will keep you spinning your wheels, making plans you never execute. And watching your competitors take action while you're still getting ready. Just to get ready. I want you to think about that project you've been putting off. You know, the one that really could transform your business, but you keep finding reasons why it's not the right time. Maybe you need to do a little bit more research. Maybe the market isn't ready. Or maybe you need one more course, one more certification, one more perfect plan. Sound familiar? While you're waiting for the perfect moment, someone else is taking imperfect actions and winning. Let me tell you about my 4-year procrastination masterclass that really could even make Netflix jealous. Picture this. Beginning of COVID, I'm lying in bed with this terrible virus. Well, I was really sick. I'm over-exaggerating now, but I was really sick, I mean it. And I had this profound moment of clarity. This is it, I thought. This is the perfect moment to start a podcast that I was thinking about for a while now. First, I thought, let me share my COVID story. And the story of the people here in my neighborhood and in the street and how it affected everyone, and especially the teenagers, because that was quite obvious here in the neighborhood where I live. But then you know how it goes. The brain kicks in. But wait a minute. What topic should this podcast be about? And honestly, it's COVID. Who will really listen? We can't even go outside. So really, what's the rush? You know, I'll start when things go back to normal. And there is one more small detail I really need to put in here. I asked one of my best friends, what do you think? No, Jackie. No, I really wouldn't share your COVID story. Now, this is for another podcast, but I will come back to this topic. Not listening to what your friends say. Well, things got back to normal, and suddenly I'm working like a maniac to save my business. So now I can't start a podcast because I'm busy saving my company. Then came the energy crisis. The perfect time for a podcast, right? When everyone is worried about their electricity bills. Well, just let's wait a little longer. And then I got really sick. 5 operations in 3 years. At this point, I'm thinking maybe the universe is trying to tell me something, or maybe I'm just really good at finding excuses all the time. I mean, come on. How many legitimate reasons can one person collect? I was like a procrastination Pokemon collector. Gotta catch them all. But there was something that was really going on in my mind during my recovery. My father always said, before I'm lying between those 6 wooden planks forever, I want to go and visit the Grand Canyon. That was his dream, and he said that for many years. Guess what? He never did. You know why? Because he probably was waiting for the right time too. Maybe when he had a little bit more money or time, or when the weather was better. Whatever reason, he died when he turned 83, and he never got there. Well, after he died, I went for him, and I saw it when I was at a seminar of Tony Robbins in Vegas. I took a helicopter flight over the Grand Canyon, and up there I was thinking, while tears rolling over my face, oh, Dad, I really hope you can see this through my eyes. I have a recording of this moment, and you get these headphones on and these speakers, and the pilot always made it mandatory to record everything. So I have this recording where I can hear myself cry and saying it. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing to look back on. But it made me realize, people, when I was lying in the hospital for a month, we don't live forever. We all have an expiration date. The only difference is it's written on a carton of milk. But we don't know when it's our time. Because here's what I've really learned during all that time. The cost of procrastination isn't the thing you didn't do. It's the compound effect of all the opportunities that you would have followed. It's the confidence you don't build during that time. It's the momentum you never create. It's the version of yourself you never become. While I'm doing this podcast, it helps me grow as a person. So let me ask you, how much longer are you going to let fear, disguised as excuses, run your life? Now let's get very specific here, what procrastination actually costs us. Because most people severely underestimate the damage. Every day you don't start is a day that your competitors get ahead. Every week you spend planning is a week someone else spends testing, learning, and improving. I've seen entrepreneurs spend 2 years perfecting a business plan that became obsolete because the market moved on. Here's something a lot of people don't talk about. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you erode your self-trust. Every time you'll say, I'll start on Monday, and Monday comes and goes, you're teaching your brain that your word doesn't mean anything. This creates a vicious circle where you trust yourself less and less to follow through. Success builds on success, and action builds on action. But procrastination builds on more procrastination. When you're not moving forward, you're just not standing still. You're actually moving backwards because the world keeps evolving while you're staying stuck. Warren Buffett calls compound interest the 8th wonder of the world. But there's also compound interest in action. The business you start today, even imperfectly, will teach you lessons that inform your next decision. The content you create today, even when it's not perfect, will attract the audience that helps you create better content. Procrastination is exhausting. You know what I'm talking about. That constant mental load of things you're not doing. It sits in the background of every other activity, draining your energy, creating guilt, and making it harder to enjoy even your downtime. Study shows that the mental energy spent avoiding a task is often greater than the energy required to actually do the task. You put so much mental energy not doing the work than you would doing it. Now take a moment to think about this and be honest with yourself. How much is it really costing you? Let's talk about regret, the what if scenarios that keep us up at night, the wondering about the business you never started, the relationship you never pursued, the life you never lived because you're always waiting for tomorrow. Here's what successful people understand that procrastinators don't. There is no perfect time. There is no perfect plan. There is no perfect moment when all the stars are aligned and risk disappears. There's always risk, and the stars are always aligned. The perfect time is now. The perfect plan is the one you start with. The perfect moment is this one. So why do our brains sabotage us like this? Understanding the neuroscience of procrastination is the first step to overcoming it. Thousands of years ago, your brain kept you alive on the African savannah. Not to build $1 million business, but back then, immediate threats required immediate responses. Planning too far ahead was actually very dangerous. You needed to focus on just not being eaten today. Picture this. You're relaxing in the savannah when a hungry puma appears. Do you think you can procrastinate your way out of becoming lunch? I don't think so. But now success requires long-term thinking, delayed gratification, and working on things that don't have immediate payoffs. Your ancient brain sees this as suspicious. Why do something that won't benefit you right now when you could be doing something immediately rewarding instead? When you think about starting that important project, your amygdala, your brain alarm system, often interprets it as a threat. Not a physical threat, but a threat to your ego, your self-image, your self-esteem, your sense of security. What if I fail? What if I succeed and can't handle the pressure? What if people judge you? What if you realize you're not that capable as you thought? So your brain does what it's designed to do. It protects you from the threat. It makes that Netflix show seem suddenly so fascinating. It makes checking emails feel very urgent. It convinces you that you need to organize your desk properly before you can possibly start working. Every time you choose immediate reward over important task, your brain gets a gentle hit of dopamine. Social media, email, even cleaning, they all provide quick, measurable completions. And your brain just loves it. You know, important work is very complex and it doesn't provide immediate feedback. Your brain, frankly, finds it very boring compared to instant gratification. It's about the fear of judgment, it's about the fear of failure and the fear of success. Because what might that demand of you? For me personally, it was the fear of demand. Because deep down inside, I knew that starting that podcast would devour my free time. I could already see it. Researching topics, writing scripts, recording, editing, promoting. My brain was like, do you really want to give up your Netflix evenings for this, your weekend sleep-ins, your spontaneous dinner plans with friends. And what about my dogs? I walk them once, twice a day. They're 13, so we don't walk that much anymore. So I just kept telling myself I will start when I have a better time management. Classic, right? But you see what, for me, it was all about? It was being afraid of not having enough me time. So I procrastinated. And the irony is, I spent 4 years thinking about time management instead of just managing my time. I could have mastered podcasting and time management at the same time, because this is what I'm doing now. I just organize myself completely different than I did before. So this is what fear does. It convinces you that thinking about the problem is solving the problem. Spoiler alert, it's not. And then we have the analysis paralysis trap, where information feels like progress, research feels like work, and planning feels very productive. Don't get me wrong, it's not that you shouldn't plan, but here's the trap. At some point, you need to take action and just actually start. I've seen entrepreneurs spend months researching the perfect logo while their actual business idea was sitting there unexecuted. They confuse preparation with procrastination, and they stay comfortable in the planning phase because planning can't fail. Only execution can, right? And then we have the all or nothing mindset. Procrastinators often think in extremes, don't we? It's either perfect or it's worthless. Either you work 8 hours straight or you don't work at all. Either you launch the complete vision or you just don't launch at all. You know, success comes from consistency, not perfection. From iteration, not isolation. From progress, not perfection. And the irony is that perfectionism prevents you from ever achieving anything close to perfect. Because perfect only comes through iteration, through feedback, through the messy process of actually doing the work. So what does it actually take to break free from procrastination? What is the difference between people who consistently take action and those who consistently delay? The biggest breakthrough isn't about time management or productivity hacks. It's about challenging how you see yourself. You have to stop identifying yourself as someone who procrastinates and start identifying yourself as someone who takes action. It's about what story you tell yourself in your head every day. Now, I realize this sounds simple, but it's profound. When you see yourself as a procrastinator, every time you delay something, it confirms your identity. You're just not being who you are. But if you start seeing yourself as someone who takes action, procrastination becomes inconsistent with who you really are. The goal isn't to do it perfectly. The goal is to do it. Point period. Because doing it imperfectly gives you data. It gives you feedback. It gives you momentum. And momentum, well, that's the antidote to procrastination. But here's the advanced version. If something is important but seems overwhelming, commit just 2 minutes of work on it. Often starting is the hardest part. Really, it is. Once you start, momentum takes over, and those 2 minutes becomes 2 hours. And believe me, you will feel enormous pride in yourself. Procrastination is about avoiding the stuff we simply don't want to do. You want to start that business? Great. Awesome. But you will also need the bookkeeper. Hate numbers? Welcome to procrastination land. You want to build that online course? Awesome. But you will need to learn how to edit videos. Think editing is boring? Hello, deal with it. And if you can't afford it, get someone to do it for you. Want to write that book? Amazing. But You will actually need to sit down and write when you'd rather be doing literally something else. You know, the magic questions, because we sometimes need to ask better questions, isn't how do I make this perfect? It's what's the tiniest step that I can take that I can actually stomach doing right now. Instead of writing the whole business plan, just start with 3 potential customers. Don't build a website, just buy the domain name. Don't create the entire course. Just start with recording 5 minutes. Momentum beats motivation every single time. Once you start moving, even the tiny little steps, the next step becomes easier. But when you're still sitting around, even for small tasks, they will actually feel like mountains. The goal isn't to love every task. The goal is to do the task anyway, because the dream on the other side is worth a lot more than that temporary discomfort. Finally, I started my podcast, and at some point, I just made the decision enough is enough. I was actually going to make this podcast really happen. But how? With tiny steps, one step at a time. If you would like to know the full story of how I started this podcast, check out our very first episode. How a student project birthed a whole brand. And I really have to thank a lot to these 5 wonderful young women. So go and check it out. But here's how I began. I started by thinking about the topics first. What did I actually want to talk about? Then the name together with the 5 brand girls. Then my mission. Then my vision. And then the most important thing, my why. And let me tell you something. Your why needs to be rock solid. Because when things go wrong, and trust me, they will go wrong, if your why isn't strong enough, the temptation to fall back into procrastination mode becomes irresistible. You find yourself thinking, maybe this wasn't such a very good idea after all. Maybe I should just stop or wait. Let me give you a perfect example. A couple of weeks ago, I recorded an entire podcast. It felt really great too. I was like in that zone, you know. So when I got off this chair, I thought, I nailed it. And then I discovered that one of the batteries of my camera died. And it died early for some mysterious reason. And this is the kicker. I forgot to press record on the other camera. I was really not amused. I literally had to do the whole thing over again from scratch. And it takes a long time to record a podcast. Same energy, same story, same everything. If your why isn't bulletproof in moments like these, you'll quit. You will tell yourself, see, the universe is telling me this isn't meant to be. But when your why is rock solid, you will grumble. You will maybe curse a little. Well, I cursed a lot. And actually, I was very happy that no one was around and could hear me. But then I just hit the record button again because my mission is bigger than the setbacks. Actually, these setbacks become just a bump in the road, not roadblocks. Now, let's talk about your environment. Very important. Your environment is stronger than your willpower, believe me. If you're trying to work in a space full with distractions, you're fighting an uphill battle. But if you design your environment for action, action becomes easier than inaction. This means removing friction from very important tasks. It also means adding friction to distracting ones, and this makes starting easier than not starting. Here's what I did. I completely transformed my dining room, yes, this is my dining room table, into my dedicated podcast studio. Why? Because I know myself. I know that if I had to set up cameras, adjusting light, test microphones, and arrange everything perfectly every single time I want to record, I will definitely find excuses not to do it. Oh, and the lighting. It isn't quite ready today. The setup. That will take too long. I will do it tomorrow. Oh, but maybe tomorrow I have more energy for all that technical stuff. So I knew this would become my procrastination trap. So now everything stays set, up and ready to go. Does it mean it's perfect? No, it's not. I have lights here, I have lights there, but then I have a window there, and actually now the sun is turning there, and it will fluctuate the light in the camera because I don't have a cameraman standing behind the camera. Then I was thinking maybe I should, buy some curtains, black ones, and make it black. It's not perfect. Who cares when it fluctuates a little bit? It doesn't need to be perfect. I do my best to make it as perfect as I can. But in the end, when you listen to it or when you see it, you won't mind. And for me, the most important thing is when inspiration strikes or when I have something important to share, I can just literally walk into this room and hit the record button. No excuses, no setup time, no overthinking it. And the result is I record way more content because starting becomes ridiculous easy. And then we have the accountability factor. Here's something procrastinators hate to admit. We need external accountability. Internal motivation fluctuates. Internal discipline has bad days. But external accountability, whether it's a mentor, a coach, a business partner, or even a public commitment, creates a forcing function. When you know someone else is counting on you, and when you've made a public commitment, when there are real consequences not following through, suddenly your brain takes the task a lot more serious. Let me give you a little example. A while ago, I didn't post any reels for a couple of days. By the way, you can follow me on Instagram at 30 Years of Wisdom. Shameless plug, I know. Anyway, a good friend texted me on WhatsApp. Where are your videos? I missed them. Now, that little message on WhatsApp really hit me different. Believe me, having someone hold you accountable really helps on those days when your energy level is in the basement and motivation is nowhere to be found. Suddenly I realized it wasn't about me anymore. Someone was actually paying attention. Someone noticed I didn't show up. That external accountability gave me the push I needed to get back on track. Oh, and if you're listening, Caroline, thank you, my dear, because I really needed it. Here's the thing. When it's just you and your internal motivation, it's easy to negotiate with yourself. I'll post tomorrow. Nobody will notice. I need a break. And for someone who is in social media or is a creator just like me, we know exactly what I'm talking about. But when someone else is watching, when someone actually misses your content, that changes everything. Your brain shifts from, I should probably do this, to, I need to do this. Oh, and celebrate the small wins, please. Procrastinators are so great at beating themselves up for what they didn't do. Recovering procrastinators, and yes, I'm one of them, they learn to celebrate what they did do, no matter how small. Finished an email that we dreaded. Celebrate it. That one phone call we didn't want to make. Do it. Acknowledge it. Oh, and that one paragraph you started writing in your book, give yourself credit. This isn't about lowering your standards. This is about rewarding the behavior that you want to see more of in yourself. Now let's talk about the specific systems and strategies that turn procrastination into producers. Let's start with the morning success ritual. How you start your day determines how you will feel about yourself for the rest of that day. If you start with procrastination, hitting the snooze button, scrolling on social media, avoiding your most important task, you will set a pattern of avoidance that carries forward throughout the whole day. But if you start with action, getting up when your alarm goes off, tackling your most important tasks first, creating momentum early, you set a pattern of achievement for that day, and it will build throughout your whole day and even the whole week. Every day identified all the things that you have accomplished, and it will make you feel successful regardless whatever happens else that day. Then do that first thing before anything else, before email, before meetings, before urgency of day tasks that takes you over. This isn't about more productivity. This is about being more effective in the things you do, about ensuring that even when the day gets derailed, you moved the needle on the most important tasks of that day. Set a timer for 25 minutes and work on one task without interruption. No phone, no email, no distractions. Just focus on that work, on that task for 25 minutes. When the timer goes off, take a 5-minute break, then repeat. This works because 25 minutes feels very manageable, even for the most overwhelming tasks. And often when you start, you just want to continue beyond the timer. But even if you don't, you've made progress. Instead of vague goals like, I'll work on my business plan, you can create specific implementations intentions like, at 9 a.m. I will be in my home office and I will write for 30 minutes on my business plan. The more specific you are about when, where, and how you will do something, the more likely you are actually going to do it. Your brain really likes specificity. It reduces decision fatigue and makes action automatic. Let me show you how this works in my practice with my podcast schedule. Every Wednesday, I publish a new episode. But before that happens, several things needs to fall into place beforehand. Fridays are my recording days. If I'm doing a solo episode, my scripts needs to be completely finished with all my personal stories in it. I give myself strict deadlines for when those scripts needs to be done. And believe me, I invest serious time in making my scripts because one script takes me between 4 and 6 hours to write. For one script, that's one episode. And because for me, it's important to get it right. And then there is the editing. I'm doing that myself for now, but once I start generating some income from this podcast, I will outsource it. And I already found someone for that. It's a very young company and they're growing very fast. She comes from Belgium. He comes from Brazil. They got married in Belgium and now they live in Brazil. So it's a wonderful couple. Besides, if you ever need them, I will put their credentials in the show notes below. Because planning ahead really matters. If I get really busy, I need to be able to outsource the editing. So planning, very important. But here's the crucial part. You really have to build in your own fun moments, your free time, your me time, your we time, if you have a family, or else you will burn out. The specificity isn't just about work tasks. It's about protecting your downtime as well. Because sustainability beats intensity every single time. When everything has its place and time, procrastination has nowhere to hide. Also very important is every week review what you accomplished and what you procrastinated on. Because here's the key, don't judge it, analyze it. You need to learn your own patterns. Those patterns will tell you what triggered you to lead to procrastination and what conditions led you to taking action. It isn't about beating yourself up. This is about understanding your patterns so you can design better systems, and keeps a very simple record of what you accomplished each day. Not your to-do list, your did-do list. This serves two purposes. It gives you a visual record of your progress, which builds confidence, and it helps you see that you're actually more productive than you think. Most procrastinators underestimate what they accomplish and overestimate what they should accomplish. A progress journal brings this really back into focus. And of course, you can do it on your computer. But maybe you like to write. Breaking free from procrastination isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing practice. And here's how to build momentum for the long term. This is about the compound effect of taking action. Small actions taken consistently create exponential results. The business that you're building today might not be profitable yet, and maybe not even for months, but the habits you build while building it will serve you for decades. Every day you choose action over procrastination, you're not just completing a task, you're strengthening your identity as someone who follows through. You will have bad days too. You will have weeks where procrastination creeps back in. This doesn't mean you've failed. It means you're human. The key is having a plan for getting back on track quickly. When you notice you're procrastinating again, don't spiral into self-judgment. Instead, ask, what is the smallest action that I can do right now to get back on track? Then take action immediately. And as you grow and change, your anti-procrastination systems need to evolve too. So keep experimenting and keep refining. The goal isn't to find the perfect system. It's to find the system that works for you right now and then adapt as you grow. Sometimes life throws at you very busy weeks and you need to factor that into your schedule. During those intense periods, it's crucial that you stay focused. And please, you need to promise yourself that after this crazy week, you're gonna celebrate. Maybe it's going out for a nice dinner with friends. Maybe it's catching a movie at the cinema. Or maybe it's go and see a play. Everyone's reward looks different. But here's a key thing. You actually have to follow through on that promise to yourself too. Don't just say, I'll treat myself when this is all over, and then immediately jump back into the next project. Actually go and book that dinner reservation. Go and buy those theater tickets and actually take that break. Because if you keep breaking promises to yourself about the good stuff, your brain will stop trusting you about the work stuff too. Self-trust works both ways. You need to be reliable about both, about the effort and the reward. Think about it as maintaining your internal motivation engine. You can't just keep running it without fuel and expect it to keep performing. The beautiful thing about overcoming procrastination is that it affects every area of your life. When you become someone who takes action in business, you become someone who takes action in relationships, health, personal growth, everything. So here is my challenge for you, dear friends. Stop waiting, please. Stop waiting for the perfect plan. Stop waiting for more information. Stop waiting for the fear to go away. It's you that determines to sit at the wheel of your car, not the gremlin. And stop waiting for motivation to strike. The fear will always be there. The plan will never be perfect. There will always be more information you could gather. But here's what I know. Every successful entrepreneur started before they were ready. Every breakthrough happened despite imperfect conditions. Every business began with someone saying, I don't know if this will work, but I'm going to try it anyway. The difference between dreamers and achievers isn't talent, luck, or perfect timing. It's the willingness to start before you're ready and keep on going. Even when it gets difficult, your future self is counting on the decisions you make today. The actions you take today, the excuses you stop making today. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up, don't check your phone. Don't make coffee first. Well, don't ease into your day. Identify the one thing that matters most and start working on it immediately. Because the perfect version of yourself you want to become They're not waiting for permission. They're not waiting for perfect conditions. They're taking action today. The question isn't whether you're capable of success. The question is whether you're willing to start before you're ready. If you're listening to this podcast and you've made it this far, you already know the answer. Here's the thing. Sometimes you need support to break these deeply ingrained patterns. Sometimes we need someone to help us see our blind spots, to hold us accountable, to design systems that actually work for our specific situation. If you're tired of procrastinating on your dreams, if you finally want to break free from these patterns that have been holding you back, I'm here to help. Whether it's through my team trainings or through one-to-one coaching where we dive deep into specific procrastination patterns and build a personalized system. All of that information you will find in the show notes below. But right now, stop listening to podcasts about taking action and go and take some action. Please. Start with one small step and then 2 and then 3. Make that one phone call. Write that one difficult email. Take one tiny action toward your dream you've been putting off for so long. Your dreams are waiting and they've been patient long enough. And there's something that I want you to remember before I leave you. A dream with a deadline becomes a goal. A goal with a plan becomes reality. So, I'd love to see you next week on a brand new episode of 30 Years of Wisdom.